Well, today we're up in the Great Smoky Mountains. It's a little windy and wild out here, but we're outdoors al fresco enjoying the fresh air, so you might hear a little bit of extraneous noise. We're talking about another nice camera from Campark. This one is similar to a TC18 that I tested a little while ago. Basically, it can be either a trail camera or a real nice security camera setup, and it's a 4G wireless camera, so it requires no wires to set up, and you control it from your smartphone through the 4G network, which is really good. For example, at my house I have a Wi-Fi router, so I have a security camera that runs off of Wi-Fi. But if you have a remote application, or you have a place where you don't have internet service, or it's out in the woods but you still have cell service, you can use this anywhere you have a cell signal. So let's go over this one. This is the TC18. It's brand new, and you can see it's, as I said, it's very similar to the TC18 in features and function, although it's significantly larger. And I think the way I would look at this is, as far as the capabilities of the two cameras, and they both use the same app, which I'll discuss later. As far as controlling them and using them and the picture quality, they're very similar. I would just say probably that this TC18 is bigger, a little bit heavier, a little bit larger gears, that sort of thing. So I might consider this as more of a remote security application. And when you think about security applications, it's all sorts of things. Like I have a real rustic cabin up in North Carolina. I don't have internet service, and I don't want to pay for internet service, so I leave 4G trail cameras there as security, and that way anytime, anywhere I am in the world, and as long as I have my phone with me, I can look and see what's going on there. And I can also set up a few of them in places where I can keep track of the animals that come and go. So it's a combination for me of watching the animals and also having a real affordable and effective security system. So just to summarize, I would say if I was going to put a camera in a real remote wooded spot to try and observe wildlife, I would probably tend more toward the TC18. But if you have a real robust security application like a farm, a remote livestock, or remote buildings or things like that, something that you'd want to really be monitoring all the time, I might tend to see this, the TC18 is more of the stealthy security camera outfit. But it's fine, as you'll see. I've got all sorts of examples, and it does an outstanding job of taking pictures of birds and animals. A really good picture quality in both of these. The TC18 does have superior sound to the TC18. The TC18 sound recording is clear with no significant background noise or static, and the microphone feature is superior. So if sound is super important, then the TC18 would be a better choice. You really can't go wrong with either the TC18, which I have, I'll put a link into my previous test, or the TC18. And I've been testing the TC18 out for about 2 weeks now, and having a lot of fun with it. So let's go over it. It's designed with a little mounting bracket here. You can mount it either horizontally or vertically, and it just snaps on and snaps off. There's no wires involved in installation. Installation is remarkably easy. You can put it on a building or a tree or whatever. Now the camera is designed to be mounted like this, so you wouldn't want to mount it up like this. Although it is waterproof, when you mount it up like this, you'd just be exposing it to all sorts of water and the elements unnecessarily. So it's designed to be mounted like this, and you can adjust the, flip the vertical of the video if you want to, but it's designed to mount like this. And I have had really good luck with cell reception. The TC18 is solar powered, and it comes with a included solar panel, and it's got a nice sort of not shiny surface to it, a little bit like you've seen a lot of the newer solar panels have more of a texturized non-reflective surface. It comes with about a 10-foot long USB cable that plugs in right here in the back of the camera. And if you needed a little bit longer, you could get an extension for it. And what you first want to do is charge up the camera for about 8 hours when you first get it to make sure it's fully charged. And then from that point on, it'll stay charged with the solar power. Really, the battery life is pretty outstanding, and you won't have to worry about buying batteries or running out of power in a remote location, as long as you get the solar panel in an area where it's going to get daily sunshine. Under this cover on top is where the SIM card and the micro SD card go. You have to supply your own micro SD card. The SIM card is included, and it works with their Internet of Things system, and it's the same as the TC18. It uses the same app, and it really works well. And you can bring your own SIM card as long as it's compatible with the 4G. You want to check on that, but I don't think there's any problem with using another vendor's SIM card as long as it's compatible with the 4G network. It's not going to work with 3G or 5G. And you've got your power button and then your reset button. The other thing that's nice about this, it has three modes of lights. At night you can run white light so you can see color at night. And I've tested that out. That's a lot of fun if you're looking for animals and things like that. At night, so you're going to get real color quality imagery videos at night by running the 4 lights. And remarkably, the batteries held up pretty well. One night, just for fun, I let the 4 white lights run all night, and the battery still had about 45% or so in the morning, and then it just charged up during the day. And of course, it has the IR lights. And then during the day, it's just natural light. And there's a microphone port here. It's a two-way audio, so you can both listen and talk. There's a speaker on the back here. I mean, you can have it set off a really loud, annoying alert. I don't generally do that because I'm afraid of false alarms being annoying, but it does have a loud alarm function. And then, of course, the 2K camera, just like on the TC18, and I'm pretty happy with the image quality. Now you have to remember, because this is a 4G cellular trail camera, data is money, so the bigger your files are, or the more you're going to use up your data allowance on your data plan. So the bit rate on these files is pretty low, so even though they're HD files, and they do look pretty good, but if you look at them on full screen, they're a little grainy because they're being sent at lower resolution. And that's really the nature of the beast when it comes to 4G trail cameras. If you want to send super high resolution videos over the 4G network, it's just going to be prohibitively expensive and prohibitively slow. So it's a real good compromise between file size and video quality. And I'm really happy with the video quality. And especially when you look at it on your phone, it looks outstanding. It's, if you look at it on a big, large screen, you might look a little grainy, but that's not what it's designed for. But it does a pretty good job. So when you mount this camera, you just use the mounting template here, and you drill your 3 holes, and then you just mount this on the surface, and then this just snaps in like this, and that should be fine. You just want to be careful when you're taking this off, and if you remove this frequently, you just want to be careful taking it off and on. It comes off just fine, but just be aware that you've got to exercise a little bit of caution dismounting and mounting it so you don't to break it. But I don't think that's going to be an issue. Just something to be aware of. The solar panel has got its own little mount. It can be mounted in all sorts of different ways. They've really come a long way in recent years of making these cameras easy to set up. It literally only takes 2 to 5 minutes to set up one of these cameras. First thing you do is just simply scan to get the Yukon app from the store for either Apple or Android. Load that app in your phone. Then you just go to add the camera. There's a QR code right here, and you just scan that with your camera, and with your activated SIM card, within a matter of a minute or so, you're up and running. I mean, I literally had this thing going in 3 minutes, and I've done a lot of these, and it's just simple now, and it just easily connects. There's no real adjustment on these cameras. You control them through your smartphone. And one of the really nice features about this camera, particularly as it's useful for monitoring, for example, security applications where you might have a farm or outbuildings or any number of things you want to monitor. Because it has the pan, tilt, and zoom function, it really expands your potential field of view. So you can really put this someplace and cover a lot of area because it has a 355 degree pan and a 90 degree tilt. So as opposed to a fixed 4G, a fixed lens 4G camera, you're limited to the the area that's covered by the lens. But with this, you can cover a tremendous area with just one camera. And you could pick like the primary area you want to be alerted on, but at any time you can just go on your phone and look at the whole area. So let me show you how this pan, tilt, and zoom works. So I've opened up the Yukon app, which shows both the TC17 and the TC18. So however many of these cameras you have, you can monitor them all with the same Yukon app. So we'll enter. Now you can see how fast that was. I just entered into the camera. Of course, it's not looking at anything in particular because I want you to see the tilt. So then we'll go into the pan and tilt function, and I'll just run it through here in real time. And you can see it tilts all the way around to where it's looking almost backwards. And Mr. Possum. And it comes all the way around this way and looks at my hands. So it's 355 degrees of rotation. That's pretty impressive. So now we'll bring it around to the front. And it's very responsive. Considering we're going through the cellular network, it's really pretty amazing how responsive that is. And then of course you can tilt all the way down, which is 0. And then you can tilt up to 90 degrees. And when you think about that, that really just increases the utility of this camera and the amount of area that it can cover. And of course then it has the zoom in and zoom out function. And I'll show you some real life examples of using this on actual animals out in the field. And I found the zoom to be pretty clear and impressive. So you can see just the versatility of this, particularly in security applications. And now the other thing too is, of course, it can alert you in real time. So if you're watching, great for security, but if you're watching like a wildlife area or something like that, like a hot spot where there's going to be a lot of wildlife activity, you can get alerted on some wildlife activity, and then in real time you can use your phone to pan around and watch what's going on, and zoom in and see what's going on in even more detail. So I mean, this is really fun and fascinating stuff, and the technology just keeps getting better and better. At this price point of a little over $200 for a system like this was inconceivable just a few years ago, and it works really well. So now what I'll do is I've spent a couple of weeks with this, gotten a lot of real life examples, so I'll run through the app and show you some real life examples like I always do. So the TC18 will hold a 128 gigabyte capacity micro SD card, which is important. It's a lot of data. The file sizes aren't that big, remarkably, for the quality, because because of the bit rate adjustments and the compression. There's also available cloud storage. You get 100 megabytes of data to practice with for 7 days, and then you get 30 days of free cloud storage. So you can also opt for the cloud storage. It makes it easier. It just depends on how much money you want to spend. I mean, when you consider what you're getting with this, it's not that expensive for the data plans and the cloud storage and the coverage that this thing provides. It's pretty impressive. We'll go over a brief demo of the Yukon app. On the top here you can see the TC18, and on the bottom is the TC17, which is currently offline, but you can control any number of cameras from the same app. So we simply tap on the TC18, and we're doing this in real time with real cellular network. Took a few seconds, and now you can see the view out there. And then from your live view you can either take a photo or you can take a video. And this is all done through the cellular network. And if you have, I have not great cell service, but I have decent cell service, and it works fine. We'll just quickly run through the setup menu. First, up here in the upper left is your selection between SD and high def. Personally, I don't see any reason not to just use high def. The files aren't that big. Doesn't make that big of a difference. And now we'll hit the setting button up here in the upper right. You can give your TC18 a special name. This is where you can rotate or mirror the image depending on how you have it mounted, so that you get a normal looking orientation regardless of how you have it mounted. And the storage card here. The other thing to remember, you can hold up to 128 gigabyte in a micro SD card, and there's also cloud storage available. But you really don't have to pay for cloud storage if you don't want it, because you can save everything to your SD card and retrieve it when you go to the site to remove the SD card from the camera. Or you can download, you can look at the little previews in your recorded videos list or recorded photos and pick ones that look interesting and download them to your phone. Or you can just go ahead and use cloud storage, whichever works best for you. It's a lot of flexibility. Now the scene mode, you have normal mode and night mode, and I just usually leave it in normal mode. You can set your activity detection at high, medium, or low. Right now, for what I'm doing, I have it set at high because I have it set close and I'm mainly looking at animals. It just depends on your particular need. A arming setting, I just have it defaulted to 24 hours a day, but I don't have the alarm set on. I have the alarm off. It makes a lot of noise, and the worst thing about an alarm is if it goes off and people become aware of it, or it becomes something that people know. So generally, I would just keep the alarm off, unless it's something that, if you have it at your house and you want to be woken up at night, then that might be a time to leave it on. But the other thing that occurs to me that would be an interesting application of this camera is if you do a lot of camping, or if you have an RV, or you have a camping setup where you go out somewhere and you set up a campsite and then you're going to leave it and spend time during the day being gone for long periods of time. The beauty of these little 4G trail cameras is that they're mobile. I mean, you can go with wherever you go. If you're leaving a vehicle somewhere, you can put it there, or you can leave it in a campsite in a stealthy location and be alerted on your phone. It's basically a mobile alerting, a mobile security or trail camera system. And there's been times when I was traveling where I would just set it at the campsite just to see what visits the campsite while we're gone. So that's another option. It really has a lot of possibilities, because it's basically mobile, because it's 4G, just like your phone that you carry. But I digress. And you can set your recording duration. Now, of course, your recording duration is going to have a big impact on, if you want to download and look at the videos using your data plan. So if you think, in my particular case, while I'm testing it, I have it set fairly long because I want to catch the action. But if I was, have a data plan, I might set the video link down to just say 10 seconds, and then it would reset for every 10 seconds, but then I could easily download that 10-second video and save it to my phone. You can also, opt to do a full-time recording, and either to the cloud or to a disk. And of course, 128 gigabyte disk will last a fair amount of time, but there may be certain nights or certain short time periods. I would think it would certainly be able to run with the solar power in normal nighttime mode without the white lights. It should be able to run, pretty much full time, as long as you're getting daytime sun to recharge the batteries. And just some of the other settings are the LED indicator on or off, volume settings. This is the, when you're either a two-way volume, you're either listening or talking. But really the setup and use of this camera is very simple. Just to summarize my experience with the camera, it works really well and takes good quality pictures and videos. Very sensitive, fast trigger rate. I have just, fair cell coverage, and it worked fine. And really no problems. Easy to install, flexible, covers a large area. And I've been using the TC18 4G camera for quite a while, and they're very similar, so I have no reason not to believe that the TC18 will be a real good camera and hold up to the elements.